Cut. Jon Dunning here with Jason Alt, talking about 2019 horror movie Ghost in the Graveyard, written and directed by Charlie Comparetto.
Ghost in the graveyard, 1, 2, 3. Ghost in the graveyard, can't catch me.
Is everyone ready?
1 o'clock, the ghost isn't here. 2 o'clock, the ghost isn't here.
To this day, she still haunts me. And I think she always will.
Where is she? Sally! Sally!
3 o'clock, the ghost isn't here. 4 o'clock, the ghost isn't here. 5 o'clock, the ghost isn't here.
And somehow, it all went wrong.
The freak show's back.
What's a girl to do? We'll get high. We'll tell some ghost stories.
You do get high, don't you?
You're Charlie Sullivan. You work at the hardware store. What do you mean, who we really are?
But now something has changed in her.
She's my daughter. I know, and everybody's proud.
Look, you're in on this plan to free Martha, right?
She sees ghosts. So do I. You are a virgin. Do you want to play a game?
6 o'clock, the ghost isn't here. 7 o'clock, the
It's
ghost
me.
isn't here. 8 o'clock, the ghost isn't here.
Is anybody there?
We can talk.
9 o'clock, the ghost isn't here.
Where am I, Dad?
10 o'clock, the ghost isn't here. 11 o'clock, the ghost is here. 12 o'clock, the ghost is here.
Ghost in the graveyard, 1, 2, 3. Ghost in the graveyard, can't catch me.
So, Jason, what were your early thoughts on Mean Girls 2, A Ghost Story?
Right. You know what? This was really competently done. It was a, very professionally made film. For Charlie Comparetto's first feature as a writer and director, I thought this was really pretty good, I was very impressed. And he got a really good cast, too. He got some experienced actors, and I think that was really important for bringing his vision to life. I was impressed with his skills as a cinematographer as well as a storyteller.
Right out the gate, I was very impressed with just how this movie looked. And I knew within the first 10 seconds that this was going to be a very beautifully shot film, just as far as the setting goes and the competency of the cinematographer. It's, we kind of pan in, kind of drone shot into this graveyard. That's also where I got a little bit irritated as well, because I'm just like, it's such a cool scene when they pan into the sarcophagus, but then they add those inserts of this witch like eating hair, and I'm just like, man, if they just would have like cut out the music completely, just panned in real slow, no cut-in shots of the witch, and then just like right when it like gets real tight on that sarcophagus, then she could walk out, and I think that would have been real effective. And then you get like some voiceover from the little girls walking through. But I think that these are just kind of little nitpicks, but I agree with you for the most part as far as a writing standpoint goes, and just how this film aesthetically is perceived is absolutely wonderful.
Tonally, the movie feels sort of like a fall movie. This feels like a Halloween type deal. Mm-hmm. A lot of grays, a lot of dead leaf type colors, and within that pretty bleak palette, he did a lot of work. So I think the film looks pretty good. He's definitely a student of film. There's nothing bad to say about how the film was put together from a shooting standpoint.
Yeah, the lighting was great. You had nice blurring effects, pan up, close ups. It was obvious that I know he had a cinematographer also, but it looked like those two were really in sync during this entire film. Sometimes this story kind of bogs down in the middle, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't kind of engrossed in the world. Sometimes I just wish that the editing choices were kind of on par with the actual shot composition, because the editing seemed a little choppy and a little amateurish, and I was like, oh no, this film looks so good. I wish that the editing was kind of on par with the rest of it technically.
And that's just something that's going to come with experience. You know, any aspect of the film that a first time filmmaker is good at, there are going to be other things that they might not be so good at. And honestly, if they're going to, you know, have a few weird ideas about what happens in the editing room, I think that's a little bit better than not being able to shoot the thing worth a darn. So I think if there's going to be inadequacies, I think some odd choices in the editing room are probably the most forgivable, because I think that's something that with some feedback and with some experience, that's going to get smoothed out a little bit. Let's
talk about some of the actual performances. It was driving me nuts, because I'm like, where do I know this main girl from, Kelly Berglund? And it's, you know, I have kids, have lab rats playing in the background, so it's good to see that she's kind of making that transition from like the whole Nickelodeon or Disney Channel, you know, tween to now a more serious role, and I thought she did really well in this. Jake Busey was great. He chewed up the scenery, but also showed restraint when he had to, and I think newcomer Olivia Larson actually was real menacing. As you know, she was cast as kind of the stereotypical hot girl, but she had a real layered arc to her, and she was up to the task to not only deliver those kind of, like I said earlier, Mean Girl-esque moments, but also these kind of terrifying moments when she was called to do so.
Daredevil's Royce Johnson was in this as well. He played a cop on there, and he played a cop here. I think that's kind of funny. You know, some people just look like cops, you know. If you've ever tried to buy weed and no one will sell to you, you may look like a cop, and you should move to Hollywood. Instead of wasting your life smoking the devil's lettuce, you should go out to Hollywood and be like, hey, look, I got a cop face. Can you put me in some cop stuff? So, you know, I think the acting was not the problem with this movie either, for sure.
No, funny that you bring up Royce Johnson, because sometimes I just kept thinking like Orlando Jones, from like, you remember him from the 7-Up commercials or Evolution with David Duchovny.
You mean Mad TV's Orlando Jones?
Yes, exactly.
He didn't do Mad TV for 11 seasons for you to know him as the 7-Up guy. You don't know. No one knows how long anyone was on Mad TV because nobody watched Mad TV.
That's true. That's true. Well, at least, you know, he was great in Evolution, and I just kept feeling, I'm like, wow, he's kind of like Orlando Jones, but just doesn't look like him. Without giving away spoilers or anything, because I definitely think that this is worth your time, is it all centers around this, our main character, Sally. She comes back from somewhere else, you know, from when she was a kid. She went through this traumatic experience watching this child die. Now all these things are happening since she's returned. It's kind of like Garden State, but, you know, with ghosts. And her interactions with her, not only her classmates, but the rest of the community, something's not right, something's off, you know, now there's murders happening, and it all kind of centers around, there's a lot of commentary on religion and just kind of like who you can trust. And I think that in a broad stroke, they executed it pretty well. I thought from beginning to end, like I said, the middle kind of drags a little bit, but I thought they did a pretty good job. I think that it was a little unfocused, and it kind of tried to be a couple different movies. It tried to be the creepy ghost girl movie, then it tried to be kind of the teen slasher movie a little bit, and then like a religious horror movie, almost like invoking feelings of like The Exorcist. It kind of kept changing, kept evolving, and I wish it was just kind of honed in just a little bit. It just seemed like they were really excited because they were making this great film, and so they just kind of like, okay, well, we're just going to do it all.
I think if he had taken this script to somebody who had produced Hollywood films before, they would have chopped it up a little, and they would have cut maybe... This just feels like it had 25% too much stuff going on, and somebody could have pared that down and streamlined it a little bit. So this is somebody that's like, I got a good idea. I'm going to write this, and I'm going to direct it. I'm going to make this movie. And when somebody has a vision like that, but they don't necessarily have the chops or like anybody on set that's like, here's how you would write this better. Sometimes the movies end up a little bit much. And that's what happened here. I think the film was just, the main problem I had with the film is the plot was just pretty confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I had a hard time following it per se. Like I can follow a plot, but it was
Sure.
just sort of like there was a little bit too much going on. And I think the next one will be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Effects wise, it was good. Like when they what makeup effects that they did have in here, some of the kills they did very smartly as far as a low budget film goes. They showed what you needed to see to get the point across. So it wasn't, you weren't seeing like a head explode or anything like that. It was nothing over the top. Everything was very effective because I think they understood their budgetary constraints. Sometimes the most horrifying thing or the most thing that's going to affect you the most isn't, you don't have to see it. It can happen off camera and it will still be as effective. I think that they employed that technique pretty well, especially for a first-time outing. There's
not a ton to say about this movie because really you can't say much about it without giving too much away. And, I'm not sure I want to give too much away. I think if you are going to give this movie a shot, you're going to want all the tropes to be revealed on the screen as you watch. So what I will say is, for a first-time filmmaker, this was quite good. And honestly, like if you came across this on Netflix and watch it, you would be pretty delighted that you saw it. This is just one of those movies that kind of ends up, vaguely there. Somebody played it for you, I think you'd be like, oh, that was pretty good. I'm surprised that I missed that when it was in theaters because this seemed like it could have been. It's somewhere between like Annabelle Creation and Oculus, where it's not that next horror movie, like franchise, like a Insidious or like the Conjuring. It's not quite there, but it does have some good bones to where I would definitely be excited to see the next Charlie Comparetto film. And like I said, I think it's a lot better than stuff like Annabelle Creation or stuff with bigger budgets, and it was nice seeing Jake Busey actually in a role like this. Usually he's kind of typecasted as like he's a very like, you expect like a very Matthew Lillard type performance from Jake Busey, but I think and he was just a straight character in this movie. He was just like and maybe that's just gonna be like Jake Busey plays dads now. And another thing that I liked about this that you don't expect from a horror movie of this level is there wasn't any unearned jump scares. I think there might have been one or two actual jump scares, but they were completely earned because, a lot of the time it's just like, oh, someone turns around and then you get that stupid loud noise for absolutely no reason. And then you just kind of get numb to it. And it's you feel the exact opposite of what the filmmaker is trying to make you feel because you're just like getting loud noises blown in your face the whole time. This has none of that. You get two kind of big noises, but they're from the thing that's trying to scare you. So I love that there is real respect for the genre and by showing so much restraint as far as the jump scares went. So I on a scale of would we recommend or not, I would recommend this to pretty much everyone that likes horror films that especially around this time of year. Yeah. I thought they did a hell of a job. This is a movie that I'm positive you won't come back angry at me if I recommend this to you. Yeah, so go check this one out. You could find it streaming on Amazon Prime and all that. And then come back in the comments here and let us know what you thought about Ghost in the Graveyard. Was it just another throwaway horror film, or do you agree with us? And did it have a little bit more substance to it like we thought? So let us know in the comments. Thumbs up the video, share it, let people know that we're talking about film. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody.